Hey, football fans, this is Gary Greene, longtime Las Vegas handicapper and professional sports bettor here in Las Vegas for the past 35 years. And this is Gary Wins Videos, and this is the NFL Week number 8 betting nuggets of the week. And we'll start right off with one of the rematch games of the year. The Atlanta Falcons traveling to Tampa Bay. Atlanta won the first matchup 36-30 in overtime, and they will be a 3-point favorite here in this one, and the total is 45.5. And for Tampa Bay, decimated by injuries to their two best wide receivers, two superstars in Godwin and Evans, very hard to just come back out there on the field and expect that you're going to get anything close to that type of efficiency. It's going to be up to, it looks like the Raiders offense now with the only good offensive play weapon, the tight end, and Otten. He should be able to have a big game. Maybe he's going to have to continue to dink and dunk, but I think this is the game that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense has got to revert to the run. They have three solid running backs. You cannot have Baker Mayfield out there throwing the ball all over the yard and get into another shooting match with the Falcons. They won't win that because the Falcons have all their guys in the lineup, and they have actually had the capabilities already this year to have a couple of high yardage type of games. Kirk Cousins had 500 plus yards passing the first time around, and Tampa Bay's defense is no better. They're more tired. They're getting gashed on the outside by the run, and could Bijan Robinson finally get a 100-yard rushing game? He's been on a milk carton for rushing for 100 games for a long time now. Since he came in the league, they talked about how he was going to get 100 yards rushing every week, but that hasn't happened. But his best opportunity is against this Tampa Bay defense on a short week. Tough situation for Tampa Bay to be in. Baker Mayfield has 5 interceptions the last 2 weeks, and obviously last week he was trying to do too much once those two guys went down. But it's still a game that if Tampa Bay could somehow pull off a miracle, at least they're at home, they can at least hang in this division. Because if they don't, Atlanta's going to 4-0 in the division. That's going to be tough. Tampa Bay's played 4 straight over games. But again, if this game goes over, this is going to be a very tough game for Tampa Bay to win. So to me, Todd Bowles one of the worst head coaches in the league, and I always struggle. There's times where I'm jotting down games and I want to jump on a Tampa Bay bet, but then I remember who the hell the coach is, and there's a lot of bad coaches, but this guy's clueless, and they keep talking about how he's a defensive guru. He's not. This defense is not that good, but Atlanta's defense is not really great either. The bottom line is that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if they had Evans and Godwin in there, well, then this would be a great matchup, and the line wouldn't be Tampa Bay getting +3. The line's actually kind of short in a way with Atlanta, but I could see Tampa Bay coming out, grinding it out. If they get lucky and win the turnover battle, at least keeping the game close because they do know that this is it. This is the game. If they lose this game, it's just going to get worse and worse because Godwin's not coming back, and who knows how long it's going to be before Evans comes back with a bad hamstring. Sometimes those things are 6-7 week injuries. So you have a situation here where, again, it's Atlanta or probably pass. Next game on the board is the Titans at the Lions, and things are just bad to worse for the Titans as they can't get out of their own way. Now they traded their best wide receiver, Hopkins, to the Kansas City Chiefs, so the rich get richer and the weak get poorer. Probably going to be on the clock to get another quarterback next year. It's just not been a good year for the quarterback play for Tennessee, although the backup Ruda played a little bit better than Levis has. The defense had been playing pretty good, but they're starting to leak a little oil now too. Detroit, on paper, if they wanted to, they can win this game, and they may win by 28 points because they have overwhelming, fantastic talent on the offensive side of the ball. Goff is barely throwing an incompletion right now, just picking off pass after pass, 18 in a row, 15 in a row. That's crazy stuff. But you know why? They have the number one offensive line in the league, and that's what's going to happen against Tennessee. Even though their defense has at least kept them somewhat in the games, they're not going to make any hay against this offensive line for Detroit. So Detroit's only problem is, I said this on another video earlier this week, that they have a big game against Green Bay on deck. So you always want to be leery of that. They're the highest favorite on the board at 11.5. The total in this one's 44.5. Just a bad spot here for the Tennessee Titans to be playing somebody of this caliber when they're clicking on all cylinders on offense, and it's one that if you want to lay the big number. But laying the big number over the years in the NFL, for the most part, those spreads end up turning into about a 50-50 proposition. It's not as easy as it seems because usually that good team lets down, and that's the NFL. Let down, let down, let down. You just don't get up for all the games, and it's a long season, even though it's only 18 games. But it's a long season, and it's 17 games. It's a long season, but you still don't want to be in a position to think that teams are going to get up for a game every single week. It's just not going to happen, and this is a very ideal letdown spot. I told you that Texas would do it. Texas was coming off a tough loss, and I thought that they would be harder to regroup. But there's other teams that had the big game next week. One of those two teams, Penn State, actually was not playing well. I lost one game today. I won 7-1. I could have had an 8-0 sweep, which would have been my first sweep in college football in a long time. Years ago, I had some big weeks in college football, 10-0s, 9-0s. It's been a tough thing to get to that level ever across a career. And I have not had a perfect day, but I had a chance. But I lost with Wisconsin, the only loser today. And I still felt that they played pretty well enough to cover. But the quarterback for Wisconsin was just terrible. And the pick six when they were ahead just killed the mojo and crashed them hard. And the fact is, though, Penn State had a big game against Ohio State next week. And what did I tell you? Ohio State had the big game against Penn State, probably for all the marbles. And what happened? Ohio State barely got out of there with a victory, let alone ever trying to think they were going to sniff that big spread. So got to be careful in spots like this. But Tennessee's 0-4 against the spread versus the winning teams that they've played so far. So wouldn't be stunning for them to be 0-5. Baltimore at Cleveland, and again, this is almost heartbreak city. If you're a Browns fan in the dog pound, you thought you got the quarterback, you gave away the house for him, and then he finally has a little run for the first time in his life with a Browns uniform on, looking good, and he gets hurt. And now you have Winston in there, which is not the end of the world. I mean, he's a capable backup. He didn't look that good. The backups didn't look good last week either. But nothing really clicking on offense for the Browns. And the Baltimore Ravens, 8-point favorite in this one, total 45. They're the number one offense. But they're going against the Browns' second worst offense in the league. But what's funny about it is Baltimore gains 461 yards on average. The Browns averaged 253. I cannot remember halfway through the season ever seeing a team up on another team 200 yards per game. It's just hard to believe. Baltimore across the board, absolutely loaded. They're starting to click on all cylinders. Tight end Andrews back in action. This guy's a superstar tight end. There's just too many things to cover, and you're just not going to be able to do it. And I give a lot of credit to Cleveland. Their defense has actually played pretty good. Their losses are by 7, 4, 1, and 6 for 4 of their 5 losses. So they gave their team a chance to win. The offense just couldn't do anything to help them. But again, the Ravens are just a different beast. Next up here, we have Green Bay and Jacksonville. And Green Bay, 4-point favorite in this one. The total was 49. And Green Bay now with 3 straight wins, and they're the offense that we thought probably coming into the season. Although the quarterback play has been a little erratic with turnovers, but Love, he's got the weapons, the young weapons, good running game, good offensive line, smart coaching on both sides of the ball. There's continuity there. That helps teams a lot, and this is a game that Green Bay should be able to win. They're catching that Jacksonville, at least Jacksonville's finally coming into a game off a win, which is the first time in a long time for that. But Jacksonville was in London for 2 straight weeks, so it's a time change difference and just a little bit different situation. But the defense for Jacksonville has just been so bad. I mean, the defense for Jacksonville is allowing their opponents to gain 86 more yards per game than their normal when they face them. And why is that? Because they can't tackle. The play calling's terrible, and they just don't have the weapons. Their team is oriented on whether or not Lawrence and the offense could get rolling, and they just haven't been able to. And it's been a long time since we saw that. Lawrence has not been worth the money. This team's in a lot of trouble if he doesn't get better. But this team right now, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're going to need to hope that Love continues to keep giving freebies like it's a Halloween candy in a bag. If they could get enough good candies, the big super candies in their bag, they might have a chance to hang in this ball game. But right now, I said it on another video this week, but I am just ecstatic of the defensive play call for the Green Bay Packers. This team is on the receivers. You can't get any separation. They tackle fantastic. They get pressure. This team's just going to get better and better. Jacksonville's not. So one-sided to me, Green Bay are nothing play. Same thing. I'm going to keep broken record like this whole video. But New Orleans at the LA Chargers and New Orleans Saints is a disaster on both sides of the ball right now. It cannot be any worse. One thing for the Chargers, they're not a high-scoring team. They're a grinder. That's Jim Harbaugh's MO. But the run game here for the Saints, the run defense, they're giving up 7.9 yards per carry. I think the last 4 weeks now, and that's some thing that the LA Chargers can do well. They can run the ball well, and then once you start running the ball well, and they got to come up a little bit, then that's when Herbert will finally pop them. This Chargers team is not got any home field advantage though, so you don't catch any break with that. One of the games I had tonight was Texas A&M, and what was so funny about that, even though they fell behind, you will not see really any other team's fans be that crazy. I mean, it's like every person was a twin. Every person in the stands, pom-poms, loud. That's a great advantage to have if the games are going to be a close game, good matchups. And for the Chargers, they just give away all their tickets to opposing fans. They scoop them up. In this case, though, New Orleans is going to scoop them up. I wonder what the fan support will even be here. That might be a rare game that more Charger fans are at the game. But the New Orleans offensive line, they've allowed the quarterback to get sacked 11 times the last 2 weeks, and they're going to go against the LA Chargers defense that's only given up 13 points a game, and they're going to get basically Joey Bosa back. And if this guy could ever stay healthy for a whole year, this defense could be a top 3 all season long. Next up is the Kansas City Chiefs at the Vegas Raiders. It's the revenge game of the docket so far for this year, as far as one team remembered it, having it circled with yellow marker all over it, and that's the Kansas City Chiefs against the Raiders, which is pretty rare because they've dominated the Raiders over the years now with Patrick Mahomes. But they lost last year 28-18 after the game. The Raiders danced on the field. They smoked cigars after the game like they won the Super Bowl. They trolled the Chiefs, which was just hilarious to me. I never understand because it's always going to come back and bite you in the ass. And this is the game that they asked Mahomes about it. He said, we'll handle it when the time comes to handle it, and the time comes tomorrow. So very interesting. The line is going up on this game because now the Chiefs are up to 9.5. I think by tomorrow it'll probably be a solid double-digit favorite. Don't know why anybody would be wanting to take the Raiders in this situation. But again, as I mentioned, the one thing, a little bit of mirrors so far. They're not a real 6-0 team. They're catching the Raiders here. 6-0 is going to go to 7-0, I feel, with pretty much no problem. But the fact is Mahomes has 6 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. The offense not playing well at all, 350 yards a game. And the only good saving grace for the Raiders is the defense is actually at least still coming to play. They're bringing a lunch pail and they're coming to play. They're trying to keep the team in the game. The last 4 games, they're only allowing an average of 271 per game total yards. That's really solid. Anybody else, they probably are 3-1 in the last 4 games with those type of numbers. But the offense is in shambles. All they have is a tight end right now. Brock Bowers doing fantastic things, but it's not enough to get the job done. The Kansas City defense, best play calling defensive coordinator in the league. They're on everybody. They're rarely ever out of position. They get pass rush, they tackle, and that's why the Chiefs are 6-0, not because of Pat Mahomes. Down the road, it might be because of Pat Mahomes the rest of the year and offense and company, but not so far. It's been the defense who is just A-plus grade for that defense so far. As far as Vegas goes, 4 to 5 losses are by 12 or more points. So if this line's under 10, the odds are they're going to lose by 12 or more again. Next up, Carolina at Denver. Broken record again because Denver is a team that is playing solid and Carolina is not. Carolina is a dead team. The defense right now for the Denver Broncos, you would never know it. You don't know too many of the names on defense, but this might be the most underrated defense in the league. I love this defense. They are fast. They fly to the ball. The cornerbacks are tremendous. They can cover, and they have been playing well. And the real big thing for the Denver Broncos is the quarterback, Nix. I'm not a big fan. He's impressed me, though, and I'm hard to impress. I'm like the mean teacher, I guess. You got to really impress me because I watch everything. And this kid has played very well. 5 touchdowns, only 1 interception for Nix's last 4 games. And if he doesn't turn the ball over with this defense, then this team's going to keep winning games. And they're the sleeper team in the NFL so far because I know a lot of sharps. I don't bet season wins over and under, prop bets and all these crazy things that a lot of people do. That's just not my thing. But the bottom line is this Denver team was picked by everybody to go under, I think, like 5.5 wins, and they may go over that and smash that number. Your ticket's already in the shredder if you bet the under there. So I like what Nix is doing, 60% completion rate. Sean Payton's not a dope. He's not going to put him in the positions to lose against a team like this. We saw what my Commanders did last week against the Carolina Panthers, and even when the backup came in, nothing changed. They just don't have any weapons, and now they're going to have the old quarterback come back in, number 1 pick in the league. Just can't do anything, just too small. But it's a good situation for him to get back out there. The problem is he's getting back out there and he hasn't done anything, and he's going to have to go against a really solid team. And I would probably see. I did tell you about one prop bet that I liked that was Justin Jefferson on Thursday night to get over 100 yards finally, and he did it. I would do a prop bet if I was a prop better that Young will throw 2 interceptions in this game on Sunday against Denver's good defense. This is probably the best game of the day. Seattle, or there's 2 good games really in my mind, 3 good games. My Commanders against the Bears, the Eagles and the Cincinnati Bengals, and then this game, Buffalo at Seattle. And this is where I'm going to really see it. Josh Allen has stepped up his game. This guy took so much heat over the past couple of years for turnovers. He was a turnover maker. He could have worked in the bakery with all the turnovers he made, but this year, 12 touchdowns, no interceptions. I mean, that is fantastic. They did play bad 2 games in a row on offense, had a little rough stretch there. But overall, they got Cooper now, Amari Cooper in the fold. You could see last week that opened up the offense a little more. When I watched the tape, it's very difficult when you got those savvy veteran guys, and Allen knows it. Allen's not going to have to always run with the ball. He's going to get the ball to him 4 or 5 key times, 3 times for first downs. He can hit Amari Cooper across the middle. That's his favorite play. Cooper going across the middle for that 7-yard gain when it's 3rd and 6 and get these first downs and keep the ball moving. And they're going to go against a Seattle defense that's trying its best to hang in there because they've been making trade after trade trying to help the defense because the defense right now is really struggling. They've lost 3 of the last 4 games, and they've had a lot of injuries on defense. Now they got an injury to basically their best wide receiver, too. Interesting to see if he gets to play Metcalf in this game. But, again, 63% pass completions for Allen, and he's going against the Denver defense, or excuse me, Seattle defense, that's 73% completion percentage allowed. They're just not doing good these last 4 weeks. And, again, you just can't pick up guys. Most backups are not that great. Every once in a while you get a sleeper in there that does, fantastic things, and you're like, wow, we found a diamond in the rough. But so far, Seattle hasn't been able to do that. So it's up to Geno Smith and the offense to match point for point with the Allen and company on the offense there. But the difference here, Bill's not turning it over, plus 10 in the turnover margin. So their defense, although not top 10 in my mind, I don't have them a top 10 defense, but they're creating turnovers, and that's something that you practice, folks. It's not by luck, and when you see teams just continue to turn over, you can watch. They're punching the ball. They're doing the little things, and that's what so many teams in the NFL get away from, and that's all due to coaching. And the really good thing about the Buffalo Bills is they're very well coached. So it's going to be up to Geno Smith to match points in that game. That could be a fun one, though. Next one is Philadelphia and Cincinnati, another one of the top 3 marquee games. And Cincinnati's a 2.5-point favorite, and total 47. And Cincinnati was on the ledge. They were about ready to be kicked off, pushed over the ledge, and that was the end. But nope, you can't put out Joe Burrow and company because Joe Burrow is one of the best 3 quarterbacks in the league. 14 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's got Chase on the wide receiver. He's got Higgins. He's got playmakers. But guess what? The Cincinnati Bengals defense the last 2 weeks has played really, really well. They made some scheme adjustments. I went back and looked at the tapes from 3 weeks ago to the last 2 weeks, and the scheme adjustments have been absolutely gigantic. Problem is, they were against two terrible offenses, so it's easy to make adjustments and have them work when they're going against bad offenses. They're not going to be going against a bad offense in Philly. So that's where this is going to have to become a coaching game for both sides of the ball. The Eagles, to me, if Barkley can go, then the offenses go. I'm still not seeing a clicking on all cylinders Hurts, even though he has two great wide receivers. He's got good blocking for the most part. I just don't know what's going on with this Philadelphia Eagles team, other than I have to almost point it to the head coach. I'm not a fan of this Nick Sirianni. This guy's under a lot of pressure, too. His head is all over the place, and I just don't see him making adjustments. And the fact is that the Bengals defense, when they played top quarterbacks this year, Kansas City, Washington, and Baltimore, they allowed 26 points, 38, and 41 points. So Philadelphia has the capabilities to get into that range, get 28 points, at least put some pressure on Burrow and company, because Burrow and company really have been playing well since they're out of mulligans, so they just started to click the way they were probably supposed to from the beginning. And the fact is that the Burrow and company and the Bengals offense, I think they have a decided edge against the Philadelphia secondary. They didn't get beat up last week against the Giants, but like I told you, they lost the left tackle, and that's one thing they're going to have to protect. And I'm interested to see if the Bengals take a shot and go and try to just blitz the house and try to get on Hurts, because he's been one to go down. He does to go down like Peyton Manning. He used to scramble the last couple of years, but they have him off his game of trying to run with the ball so much. He's good at the tush push. He's fantastic. He's probably the greatest I've ever seen. They just automatically are going to score if they get close there. But that's going to be a good game. And whoever can pull off the win there, I'm praying it's Cincinnati, because I'm a Commanders fan, and if the Commanders can get a win, we get a little cushion on the Eagles, that would be great. But again, that's a good game. But the one edge that I saw on tape, as far as what I've watched all year long, is the Cincinnati Bengals can be able to exploit the secondary, which is young, for the Philadelphia Eagles. Jets at New England, and the Jets, one of their big wins of the year came against these powerhouse New England Patriot team. Just kidding. The New England Patriots has been really bad, but the Jets offense, 305 total yards per game. I mean, this team hasn't done anything as expectations have been F- for the most part. Couldn't have played worse. Morale, just nothing's clicked. They got Adams last week, still couldn't do nothing to spark. New head coach, nothing to spark. Again, eventually they're going to do it, but just for people to keep coming on every week, week after week, and say, this is the week they're going to turn it around. Why? I want to see it first. I'm tough. I'm a tough teacher. I want to see it. You got to prove it to me. And until they do it, I wouldn't be jumping on the wagon here. But the New England Patriots, one of the poorest head coaches in the league. The defense that came in, and they talked about how great it was going to be. They don't tackle at all. They stink. The running back was hurt, so they lost him. Drake May, he'll make a couple of nice throws in the game, but on paper, sooner or later, this Jets defense, you would think, is going to play a little bit better with a little bit of heart. I don't see the Patriots having the weapons to go against Sauce Gardner. He should be able to shut down the top wide receiver. Then where do you go? But 7-point line, total 41. Jets haven't swept the Pats since 2000. Bill Belichick's kind of snickering in the corner, because he's probably hoping that they do sweep them, because he wants the Patriots team to crash. But as far as the Patriots, I mean, what are they going to get here? 17 max. I bet a lot of team totals. Usually it's overs, but if I was going to bet an under one, I'd probably look to take an under in this one here, just because I think that the Jets running backs, mark this down. Again, prop guys, Jets running backs will have a big, big day against the New England Patriots defense tomorrow. The Jets running backs will. Rodgers, I don't know. We'll see. Last, to finish off this segment, the do not bet list is pretty easy. Even my best friend Stevie Wonder knows this. Carolina, New Orleans, Cleveland, don't bet the damaged goods. They're not just damaged. The box is broken and half the cereal box is empty. No sense to even look at them. Close calls are the Raiders and the New York Giants. And boy, the Miami Dolphins are chomping at the bit to get into that list with me too. But we'll see what they can finally do with Tua. I'll give them a little benefit of the doubt. The backups were just the worst backup quarterbacks possible. Let's see if Tua come back in, doesn't get a concussion, if he could get the offense clicking, because he is one of the better passing quarterbacks, and he's got a good rapport with Hill. So we'll see what happens there. But tread lightly on these two teams, one of them being San Fran. I know everybody's on that, and that's the bailout game of the week tomorrow night against Dallas. Um, you know, wow. I mean, normally I would want to jump on Dallas in that spot like that. Getting 5 points against a team that has just completely depleted. Brock Purdy has looked just average would be lying. He's been horrible. But again, when you have no weapons to throw to, the situation with Tampa Bay, the same thing. It's just hard to jump on a team when they've lost like that, coming off on a short week, banged up. You don't want to take that. So you want to forget all the past stats. Only on Miami this week. As we get mid-year here, stats matter. But how did you get to those stats matter also. And stat padders to give more yardage or more points, or like Cleveland, you look at their points per game. That's skewed because the defense has actually scored some points and special teams and stuff like that. So you have to be a little weary of just looking at stats. I know a lot of guys look at power ratings, and I hear shows, and the guy says, well, my power rating has this team minus 12. I like them by 14, and that's why I'm going to take them. You like somebody by 2 points over what the power rating is? That's not enough for me. There's a lot of intangibles of why you have to make a pick on somebody, and that's not one of them, the sole only reason for it. So be careful with that. But if they can't get Hill and Waddle out of purgatory tomorrow in this spot here, the Miami Dolphins against Arizona defense that's not really that good, they're never coming out. And it's going to be a long rest of the season, and I don't know what's going to happen ahead. I just fear for Tua. I just hope he doesn't get any concussions the rest of the way. So please make sure to bookmark us to save us for all our videos. If you want to email me any questions you might have, you can ask away. Shoot me an email to Gary Greene, wins@gmail.com. And Green is like you see in the sign behind you, Greene. Gary Greene wins@gmail.com. And we hope all your wagers are winning ones. Hope you had a great winning Saturday. Have a great winning Sunday now. Never bet what you can't afford to lose. And may all your wagers be winning ones. And have a great rest of the weekend, guys and gals. Take care.